Now, seated next to me is my co-host of this show, and his name is Gary Mullinax. He's an entertainment writer for the News Journal. Gary?
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Okay.
I'm fine, too.
You ready to go?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, Gary, you know, we'll also have a lot more. We've got Restaurant Corner, Consumer Spotlight, and as always, our giveaways. So you viewers, stay near your phones, because you'll possibly win some very nice prizes.
Now let's talk movies. Fort Apache, the Bronx, is a new police movie starring Paul Newman. It's been surrounded by controversy ever since filming began on it last summer. Minority groups have objected to it, and last week a Puerto Rican activist group in Philadelphia managed to keep the movie from opening in that city, although it did open as scheduled in surrounding theaters, including the one at the Christiana Mall here. The activist groups say that the movies depict virtually every member of a minority group in the South Bronx as some kind of an animal. And in fact, that's pretty much what the movie does. It seems that everybody's either a pimp or a hooker or a pusher or an addict or a transvestite. Even the members of an activist group depicted in the movie are seen as schemers who are really only out for personal notoriety. The movie itself acknowledges a certain one-sidedness in its treatment of minorities. In a disclaimer at the beginning, it points out that it is, after all, a police movie. It's a movie about criminals, and that's the element shown on the screen, that the many decent people in the South Bronx are, of course, not shown. Well, I think they have a point. Art has always been selective in its effort to present a particular vision of things, but I think the minorities have a point, too. This movie is probably going to confirm all of the most negative stereotypes that Middle America has conjured up about urban fringe life. About the only decent people in the movie are a couple of cops, especially one called Murphy, played by Newman. Murphy is tolerant of weirdness. He's got enough sense to know that he shouldn't try to go by the book as the new gung-ho, hard-nosed police chief played by Ed Asner tries to do. And he has a certain, he's not hostile toward the people in the neighborhood, even the more bizarre ones. On the other hand, I'm sure the activist groups would say that it's a little depressing that the movie shows that the only possible savior for the minorities is a white, liberal Irish cop. And I think it does smack a little of paternalism. Still, I'd rather have a good-hearted liberal cop in the middle of things than a renegade hater like Dirty Harry. The movie has some pretty decent action in it, especially toward the beginning, but director Daniel Petrie tries to work in too many plot lines, and he doesn't develop any of them very well. He gets the pattern, of course, from TV shows like Barney Miller or 8 is Enough or 100 others, where you weave several plot threads through the show and you move back and forth from one to the other. What appears at first to be the main plot, something having to do with the search for a drugged-out hooker who kills a couple of cops, is just kind of abandoned about halfway through the movie. All these plot lines require that we care something about the people involved, but we really don't in this movie because, well, the movie just doesn't make that happen. Newman's character is partly an exception. Newman's had some pretty dumb roles lately, and this one's an improvement. It's not a great role, but his Murphy is enough of an eccentric, a likable loner to please, I think, fans of Newman's Cool Hand Luke or the guy in The Sting. Add to that Murphy's world weariness, and you have a combination that's worth 2 cheers anyway. Now, a brief word about some new pop albums. Cheers for Elvis Costello's Truth, for instance. I think he's one of the best songwriters we have around these days. Cheers for the Boomtown Rats' Mondo Bongo. These guys are big stars in England, and I don't know why it hasn't happened here yet. Cheers to Ry Cooder's Borderline. He does some really neat versions of some classic R&B on that one. And finally, a new rock group name for you to remember, Echo and the Bunnymen. Yes, you'll be hearing from them, I think. And now, a word from our sponsor. Good night.
Stay tuned. Focus Delaware will return right after these messages.